You always hear the normie advice of follow your passion in life. If you just follow your passion in life, all the cards will fall in line and you're bound to find success. And I think that actually can be good advice if your passion is something that society deems valuable. Like if your passion is coding or trading stocks and analyzing the historical performance of mutual funds or something like that, then yeah, following your passion might work out for you. But what happens when your passion in life is not something valuable? Or what if you just don't have a clear passion in your life? Because I know in my case, I've spent a lot of time throughout the years trying to figure out what my passion is, and I thought coding might be my passion because that is something I learned in my own free time and I enjoyed doing it. I developed a few mobile apps and a few PC games. And these weren't anything interesting, by the way, and nothing big. Really, everything I've developed is more along the lines of something you would call a prototype rather than an actual product. But I enjoyed doing it. I did enjoy coding, programming, and I felt like it was just something that it gave me energy. And when I was working on one of the games I made, for example, I would stay up late into the night working on it. Then I would go to sleep. And when I woke up, I was actually excited to get out of bed and get back to work. So I really felt like I had found my passion. But then I started taking it more seriously. I started taking classes. And before I knew it, I was halfway through a master's degree in computer science, and I didn't feel very passionate about it anymore. And I did finish the degree, but by the time I finished, I knew it wasn't something I was passionate about. And I don't think I ever truly was. And by now, I actually do know what my true passion is, and it's not exactly what it says in the title, being unemployed. Although that is kind of the consequence of my passion, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I want to paint the picture for you about how I realized what my passion is, because for some people, it's just obvious what it is that they're passionate about. They know from an early age. But for me, and a lot of others, probably for most people, it's something that to realize what your true passion in life is, it's something that takes a lot of self-reflection, a lot of trial and error, and honestly, I can't really say that I know what it takes. I don't know what it takes. And some people probably don't even have anything they're passionate about. But I'm going to tell you about my personal experience and how I personally realized after many years what my true passion is. And maybe, hopefully, you can learn something from that. You probably won't, but maybe you will. So after I realized that coding was not my passion, and it just probably was not going to be something that I could see myself doing for 40 hours a week for the rest of my life, I got to thinking about it, and I had a few different theories. Because coding was something I had felt a lot of passion and excitement for in the recent past. So one theory I had was, well, for me, I thought maybe my so-called passion in life is just always going to be changing. And I still think that could be true for some people, but by now I know that's not the case for me. I actually do have one singular passion in life, and I know what it is now. But yeah. So another theory I had was, well, maybe my passion is learning. Because back when I felt passionate for coding, I was still relatively new to it and I was always learning new things. I was trying out different languages, different IDEs, different frameworks, coding patterns, and just, there's a lot of learning involved. But eventually I figured, well, that can't be right. Because I do enjoy learning about certain things sometimes, but even learning about programming and computer science, some of it I found interesting, but a lot of it I did not enjoy. And in fact, I kind of hated it. Like anything to do with networking and also like parallel programming, multi threading, and that type of thing, that's really boring to me. I don't care about semaphores and race conditions and memory management and anything like that. I just really don't care. Not interesting to me. And learning about it was not interesting to me. And so I'm not passionate about learning. Learning is not my passion in life. And I kind of just gave up on trying to figure it out at that point. And I pretty much just figured, well, I probably don't have anything in life that I'm passionate about. The whole idea of following your passion, that whole framework, is probably just BS. That's what I thought. So, as I was getting near to the point of finishing up with my master's degree, and even after graduating for a while, I was applying to programming jobs, software development, software engineering, whatever you want to call it. I applied for probably hundreds of jobs. Easily, I know I applied for hundreds of jobs. And I did try. I would cater my resume to specific job postings. And I don't want to go into detail on it here because I have talked about this a lot on this channel. And that's not really the point of this video. But I'm just saying all of this to say, because I started to feel like it was hopeless trying to find a job with my computer science degree, I figured, well, I have dabbled a bit with YouTube in the past, and I remember that was something that I did enjoy. And my first ever YouTube channel was back in probably like 2015, 2016, something like that. And I had one or two videos that did decently well, got like 30,000 views or something like that, if I recall correctly. And I just remember that I had a lot of fun making those videos. And so I thought, well, maybe I should get back into YouTube because nobody's hiring me. And YouTube is not my passion either, by the way. Making videos, that's not my passion. We're still building up to the big reveal. But yeah, to make a long story short, I eventually decided that I would focus on YouTube full time for an entire year. And I did that. And I did have some success. It wasn't, I would say it was not a total failure. I made a couple $1,000s and I had one big viral video. But before the year was over, I felt burnt out with YouTube. And I just really did not enjoy it anymore. And I hardly got any views on most of my videos anyways. And like I said, my channel was basically carried by one video that did really well, and all the other videos basically flops. So I realized that YouTube, that's not my passion. Coding, programming, that's not my passion. And then I tried applying for jobs again for a little while with no success. And basically after that, I had a stint where I didn't do much of anything. I was just rotting, Eldar, lay down and rot, living the neat life. No hope, no direction, just rotting away in my room at my dad's house, browsing forums, watching YouTube videos, and playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And eventually, as I was watching YouTube videos, I came across DBDR's channel, and it inspired me to make a similar channel where I would just talk about my life and just rant about anything that I wanted to talk about. And that's the origin of this channel. But when this channel started to get some traction, which happened pretty fast, I think I got over 1,000 subscribers in just like 1 or 2 months, which is way faster than my other channel grew back in the day when I was actually putting a lot of effort into it. Well, seeing this channel grow so fast, that just reignited that passion in me. And I started to think again that, hey, maybe YouTube is my passion. This might actually be my calling, my passion in life. Maybe I found it, and it's making videos for YouTube. And well, I don't want to get into it all here, but I've had a lot of ups and downs with this channel. And in my personal life as well, since I've started this channel, there's been a lot of ups and downs. And now I'm raising a baby somehow. And I am a virgin, by the way, so how does that even happen? I'm almost starting to believe in a higher power, because Jesus fucking Christ. I look back on the last year of my life and I don't even know how the hell any of this is real. But that's not the point of this video. The point is, recently I realized what it is that I am actually passionate about. I found my passion in life. I found it. I know what it is now. And what it took for me to realize that, it was a lot of struggle, there was a lot of pain, and a lot of looking into this baby boy's eyes and seeing my own reflection in them. And I mean that figuratively and literally. My passion in life is creating, building something for myself, and having the fruits of my labor be validated. That is an essential part of it, I think, because without that, it is really hard to keep going for any period of time. I do need the validation. And when I look back on the time in my life when I thought that coding might be my passion, when I really think about it, the thing that made me eager and excited to wake up in the morning to get right back to work, it was because I was building something. Because I realized all the times that I felt like that, it was always when I was working on building something like an app or a game. And those were always relatively small projects in scope. Like, they were always at most things that would take me like a few weeks to finish, usually only like 1 or 2 weeks. So I think that's why I never really got burnt out with any of that. But it all makes sense when I finally realized my true passion is creating, and specifically creating and building something for myself. Because, I mean, that explains why I didn't enjoy school projects as much as my personal projects. Because it was always somebody else dictating what I built. So, with this realization in mind, knowing that my passion in life is to build something for myself that I personally reap the rewards from, well, making YouTube videos is probably the best available conduit through which I can do that. Because I can make apps and PC games and whatever other kind of software all day, but the chances of actually finding an audience for anything I build is slim to none. And the effort required to make even a single mobile app, for example, it's a lot. It's a lot more effort than it takes for me to make a YouTube video. Even some of my higher effort videos, like the tier list videos, those are still pretty easy to make, all things considered. And the thing about YouTube is, YouTube finds an audience for me. So I can actually make videos and just post them up, and the algorithm will find not always a lot of people. It doesn't find a big audience, but it will find some audience that will watch my videos, that will consume what I create, what I put out there. And I can actually make some amount of money doing this. And it's not much. The ceiling for how much money someone could make on YouTube is through the roof. Some people are making millions, but that's not me, and that's never gonna be me. I realize that. Because for me to really be following my passion, part of that is, building something for myself. And part of what that means, building something for myself, that means that I build what I want to build. I build it how I want to build it. And recently, I did try chasing the money a little bit. That's pretty much what the whole Wealthy Neat channel was about. And I realized I just did not get the same feeling making those videos as I do making videos for this channel. Because with this channel, I'm making the videos that I want to make. I'm talking about what I want to talk about. And it all just comes natural. It's just me saying what I really feel. And on the other channel, it was hard for me to come up with ideas for what to even talk about, because the topic is just not something that, it's kind of interesting to me, but the main thing is that I had to make things up and embellish things to try to convince people that I know what I'm talking about. And maybe I didn't have to do that, but I felt like I had to do that, and I didn't like doing that. And it didn't give me energy, it didn't motivate me, and it didn't feel good. And I just didn't really enjoy it very much. But on this channel, Loser Maxing, the channel you're watching right now, this is, say what you will, but this is the greatest thing I have ever had in my life. And during the time when my channel was terminated for hate speech, I still don't know how that happened. I reached out to YouTube support, and they gave me my channel back, and they didn't really explain anything about what happened, so I don't know. And I hope it doesn't happen again. But, say what you will. I don't make much money on this channel. I probably never will. But I get to talk about, I just get to talk about my life. I get to talk about my experiences. And I get to say what I want to say. I get to share my message. Whatever I want to talk about, I get to do that. And I do that. And I post it up on here, and people listen. And a lot of you are just listening because you hate me, and you're preying on my downfall. And you're listening to every single word I say, just looking for something you can report to try and get me shut down again. But a lot of you really do listen and comment. And whether you agree or disagree with anything I'm saying, it feels pretty good to know that people actually cared about what I think about things. Because I've never had that in my real life. And especially for someone like me, I really can't stress this enough. I have severe social anxiety. And this isn't a joke. I'm not exaggerating. It is really, really hard for me to socialize in my real life. But on here, I can make videos talking about whatever I want. And there are things that there are thoughts that I have that I feel like sometimes nobody else is thinking what I'm thinking, or I've never heard anyone else say the perspective that I have. And I want to put that out there. I want to tell somebody. And I can do that here. And people listen to me. And they leave comments. And then when I have time, I do read a lot of the comments. And when I have time, sometimes I can reply to a comment. And honestly, it feels like I'm getting some amount of like, if you think of it like how on The Sims, you have the meter for all your needs, they've got like the food need, sleep, and there's a meter for social that you have to make sure you keep up with. And with this YouTube channel, now I'm finally able to fill my social meter up a little bit. And I did not have that before. My social meter was just always on red. But essentially, I am unemployed, and my income is low enough that I have zero taxable income, so that's how little money I make. And as long as I continue focusing on my passion in life, which I do believe I am doing now, as long as I do that, I will remain unemployed. And I will remain broke. And in the eyes of society and in the eyes of my own family, like my parents, to them, I'm a loser. And I really am loser maxing now. The name of this channel was kind of always meant to just be, it's kind of just supposed to be funny or whatever, but I'm really doing that. I guess I always have been, whatever. So being unemployed, for all intents and purposes, being unemployed is my passion in life. And this is the only way I can actually see myself living in the long term. And I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to working a real job, or at least trying it out for a while if somebody just offered me a job all of a sudden. But I already know what would happen if that did happen. I would be miserable, and I probably wouldn't have any time to keep up with this channel anymore. And in the eyes of society, yeah, I'd be more respectable or whatever. Not that that even matters, because back when I did have a job, I still got treated like shit by most people, and women didn't even know I existed. I was just invisible to them. And frankly, at this point in my life, I don't really care much about just being respectable to society, in the sense of, I have my family. I have my baby cousin who needs me. And my parents don't really respect me in a sense, but they love me and they do support me. And, so I have that. The only thing I'm missing is romance. And I don't think any job is going to suddenly make women attracted to me. I understand that that ship has sailed. And I don't care how many of you leave comments saying, you're you're not sub 5. You're actually a good looking guy. You're average looking. I don't care if you think that, because my real life experience tells me otherwise. Okay? So I'm going to go with my real life experience, my own observations. So whatever. I'm just saying, I'm going to keep following my passion in life. And I'm going to stay unemployed. Because from my own observations and my own experience, that's the best way that I can live my life. So that's what I'm going to do. I found my passion in life, and it took me a long time to realize what it is. And now that I found it, that's what I'm doing, okay? So to everyone that says, just follow your passion in life, that's not good advice for most people. It's probably not what I should be doing. It's not what I should be doing, But I'm going to do it. I'm taking your stupid normie advice. I'm doing that, okay? I'm following my passion in life. And so I'm going to stay unemployed. So, yeah.